on the sidewalk. Of course, some of the roads are still in pretty bad shape as well. And the temperatures stay on the chilly side, so we're not going to see a huge melting today, but over the next few days, we'll start to see at least the piles go down and then eventually a puddle on the ground here as well as the temperatures warm up. So right now we're below freezing in a lot of spots. You've got Chicago, 31 degrees up in Alpena, 33 in Minneapolis, and even down toward the south in Ohio Valley. Temperatures are in the upper 20s in Cincinnati, and for Nashville, we are still freezing cold right now, but it feels like 25 when you factor in that wind. Raleigh may be above freezing, but it feels more like it's in the upper 20s right now. So lots of layers that really get you through the cold start to the day. We're start up the car a little early, get the seat warmers going too, because it is mighty cold, especially that first cold of the season, a bit of a shock to the system. For Buffalo, we've got the snow still coming down this morning. Your wind chills are going to stay below freezing. It's going to feel like it's in the 20s all day long. And a place like, Rochester, we actually picked up 1.8 inches of snow. We still have more snow on the way, so certainly cold enough to provide that. And we're going to stay on the cooler side all the way down here into Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We picked up 3 inches of snow yesterday, a trace in Charlotte, 10 to 20 degrees below average, especially across the mountains. But then eventually we're going to start to see that wind shift in direction. For now, it's more of a northerly wind. And then eventually we'll see that warm up starting on the plains. This is where Omaha, you guys get into the 60s today, even some 70s down towards Oklahoma and Texas. Wednesday, we're all going to start to feel a lot better for the bus stops. Wednesday morning, the start to your workday, it's not going to be as cold as what we're experiencing today, especially across the south where we're not as accustomed to it. So for tomorrow, we're back to the 60s here, St. Louis down to Nashville, 64 degrees in Raleigh, 53 degrees in Chicago. That's closer to your average for this time of the year, mid 40s in Boston, which is actually below average. So a lot of you in the Northeast maybe not getting in on that warm up quite so soon. In fact, if we take a look at your forecast for Boston, the average high is 53 degrees, and we're going to be well below that today, stuck in the 30s. The warmest day we have is Thursday, but even 50 degrees is still a touch below average, and even getting into the weekend, we're still looking at cooler than average temperatures. So for you in the Northeast, holding on to the chill a little while longer, but elsewhere, Steph, we got a huge population that is going to be warming up.
All right, so let's have a
Quarters on this Veterans Day. Thanks to all of our veterans who have served and continue to serve our country. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass alongside meteorologist Jordan Steele and Stephanie Abrams here with me in studio. We've now got 80 million people seeing below freezing temperatures this morning. Earlier, it was actually 145 million because we had a lot of the Gulf Coast, even down into Florida, that were experiencing record lows like Tampa and Orlando, getting down into the mid 30s this morning. We even had snowflakes across the south from a few inches in Gatlinburg to just a few flurries in the Atlanta metro. Not enough to count as measurable snow, but still kind of fun to see the snow swirling around in that strong wind. Jordan Steele outside of our studio right now in Atlanta, where of course we've been talking about the cold, the wind, but it's really
full. We'll see what hair. But normally I bring
don't want to mess up the hair. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. You've got a hood on that coat. At least you can put the hood up and try to keep the back of your neck a little warmer. There you go.
It's okay. The good news is the sun's coming up, so it's going to get better throughout the day.
It is going to get better. And the sun on your face, without that wind that we had yesterday, so much better. We gusted to 48 miles an hour in Atlanta yesterday at the airport. Today, I mean, it's still a little breezy out there, but it's starting to feel better. And by tomorrow, you're shedding that jacket, not worrying about a hat or gloves or anything, because we're going to be basically back to where we should be for this time of the year. Lake effect, though, that's still happening across the Northeast. You've got the warnings here in the darker shade of blue. Winter weather advisory still in effect for portions of upstate New York, including the Tug Hill Plateau, where we still have several inches of snow on the way. It all depends on where the band's set up, and the wind, of course, determines that. So as you can see, we still have this trough. We've got the clouds swirling in this direction, and eventually we're going to get this trough lifting out, and that will allow for a more southerly flow and therefore change this snow over to rain. But for now, it's all snow, even a streamer east of Chicago into northern Indiana, where yesterday you guys picked up several inches, even a foot of snow in some spots. We've had some snow recently on Long Island. I noticed Islip was getting it. LaGuardia was getting it last hour. De-icing still going on at the airport, so definitely a time to check ahead with that ground stop that is currently in effect. Winds are gusting 30 to 35. So that's really going to be a bigger issue, I think, is the wind for the big cities on the coast. But the wind around the lakes, that is still causing the lake effect snow. Talk about the timing of this snow because we do expect a warmer wind to take hold the next couple of days. That brings in the warmer temperatures, but also changes this blue over to green, which means snow over to rain. For now, it is all snow. Cleveland picking up about an inch, a little over an inch of snow yesterday, and we still have a few more to go. So we still have winter weather advisories in effect up towards Ashtabula into northwestern Pennsylvania, where it becomes a winter storm warning. But you see that? There's the green. That is an indication of the warmer air that's starting to take hold as soon as tomorrow morning. So we're going to start to feel that southerly wind and the warmer temperatures eventually bringing us the rainfall. We're also seeing snow around Dunkirk, New York, the west end of the New York State Thruway up towards Buffalo, and a pretty good solid streamer right now. You can see the darker shades of blue indicating the heavier snow and therefore reduced visibility below a mile in some cases. Winds, Jamestown, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua counties, we're talking 30 to 40 miles an hour over toward the Finger Lakes region, all the way over to the Capital Region. We've seen some of this lake effect snow reaching in to the Helderbergs, just south and west of Albany. But there's your green showing up. That is your rain coming in off of Lakes Erie and Ontario as those temperatures will be warming up over the next couple of days and perhaps melting some of this snow down to puddles. Steph?
Well, speaking of warming up, we're warming up a little bit.
They're just taking a cold nap. They're okay. They're not dead. They're just kind of lying down, taking a cold nap. And then they'll wake up when it warms back up again. And it's starting to do that already. You can see we're above freezing now in Tallahassee, 38 degrees. Just barely above the freezing mark, though, in Atlanta, where it's 34 degrees, right at freezing in Nashville. And across the northern tier of the country, we're still feeling that chill in the air. We have to zip up the coat and keep the kids warm at the bus stops, too. Temperatures rebounding already today across the plains, courtesy of a south wind. We're back to the 70s, Oklahoma City, Dallas. You can see Omaha getting into the mid 60s. And we're going to increase the warmth over the next few days. By Thursday, 142 million above average. And by Saturday, a good chunk of the country above average, with the exception being the New England area and parts of the Northeast, where we're still going to be struggling to make it out of the 40s in a place like Boston. So running 10 to 25 degrees below average for much of the East Coast here. That includes Raleigh, Charlotte, where we actually had a trace of snow just yesterday. Here comes the ridge of high pressure jet stream visiting northern Minnesota, and that's going to allow for some of these warmer temperatures. We're talking 70s and even 80s, warm enough where we could be flirting with records in a place like Abilene. So close. Lubbock, though, if we get to 85 degrees on Thursday, that will be enough of a record that goes back to 82 in 1973. Steph?
All right, let's talk about our western storminess.